Beginning in 1750, this land was owned by the Carroll family. Brothers Daniel and John each played important roles in establishing the political and religious freedoms for the colonies. This is St. John's Catholic Church in Forest Glen. It was built in 1893 and, to this day, continues to be a haven for its parishioners. But it is by no means the first such church built on this land. Across the cemetery is the replica of the Carroll Chapel. This is where the Catholic parish of St. John the Evangelist began. To understand its significance, one must first understand the political and religious climate in the early part of the 18th century. Beginning in 1718, Catholics were denied complete rights of citizenship. They couldn't hold political office. They couldn't build churches in which to worship. Two people who helped change that once lived right here in what we now call Forest Glen. Daniel Carroll II, also known as Daniel of Rock Creek, became a politician. He is remembered
as the man who was the patriot, and he was going to keep the Catholic Church and working with it. As a Catholic, you didn't hold offices in that time. But he, in turn, was a congressman in the Maryland state, and he was a representative to the United States. So he is the signer of the Constitution of the United States. And if you ever are lucky enough to go down and see the signing, you'll notice he's the last man standing on the left.
Younger brother John chose a different path. Trained in Europe by Jesuits, John became a priest. In 1774, he came here to live with his mother Eleanor and to attend to the spiritual wants of Catholics.
And it was after the people were coming so many that where the Mass was being held in a room in Eleanor's home, there wasn't room, so they needed a separate building. So you were allowed to build on your own property a chapel. So within a half a mile from where her home is, this church was built for her son on the land that belonged to Daniel Carroll. We think of this as the Bethlehem of the United States because here was the first secular parish founded by John Carroll.
Later, John Carroll moved to Baltimore and went on to become the first Archbishop of the United States. Today, the Carroll Chapel and the cemetery that surrounds it are visited by people who want to remember.
We have the chapel left open for people to see what is there. And this is the history of the Carroll family, of the chapel, and of this area. When you walk through this cemetery, you'll even see names of people that streets are still named after here, like as Eccleston, the Brents, the Carrolls, Browns, and it's very interesting just to drive around the whole area to see how many names you'll see on the headstones.